Hey, welcome back to What's Your Next Podcast. We are continuing on with questions to ask franchisees. In our previous few episodes, we've covered many categories of questions you should be asking when doing due diligence during your franchise questioning phase when you're talking to the franchisees of that franchise to do your due diligence. And today, our category is leadership validation.
Welcome to What's Your Next. This is the go-to podcast for aspiring business owners who want to get to the next level, escape the rat race, and give their middle finger to the corporate 9-to-5. If you want financial freedom, work-life balance, and the business of your dreams, you're in the right place. Dave and Stacy Riska, husband-wife franchising duo, openly share their successes, failures, and lessons learned in franchising, business ownership, and working with your spouse.
So we got 3 questions today. I'm going to ask Stacey the question. She's going to give me her answer and why she feels this is such an important question to ask. Ready?
Ready.
Question number 1. Question number 1. What do you feel about the leadership of the franchise?
Okay, so if you're asking me as a prospective franchisee, I would say, well, my franchise has been through its own roller coaster ride through the years. And the leadership team grew very quickly because the franchise was growing very quickly in its early years. And that has its own pros and cons, right? Because people were coming, people were going, and nobody really understood the model because so many changes were happening. So there's pros and cons to an emerging brand, which is what we ended up buying into. So on the other side of this, why is this an important question? A lot of times when you're calling prospective franchisees, you're going to be thinking to only ask questions about them, right? And their business. And you're just going to want to dive into the numbers. How much money did you make and did you make a profit? That's usually what people want to ask. That's why you want to work with someone like us to get clarity on the questions you should be asking. And most people never really think about asking questions about the leadership of the franchise itself. Look, guys, if you're going to be signing a 10-year agreement with a franchise, don't you want to know who's steering the bus? Don't you want to know what direction they're taking that organization? Don't you want to know how they might have overcome challenges in the past? I think if we had gotten better understanding of this in our franchise, we, maybe not have made a different decision, but it's so much better knowing that going in with eyes open.
It's a good point. Absolutely. All right. We got 3 questions today, so I'm going to go
Keep going.
All right. Actually, I want to make a comment. In looking at the franchise that we acquired, I didn't even know to ask this question, and I wish I had, because I think it would have given us some information that we found out later that not that the leadership was bad by any means in this organization, but they were really not focused. They were really trying to do too much and too many different things at the same time. And it came back many times to the support that we got. And I think it would have opened up some additional information. All this would have done, I don't think it would have changed our decision necessarily, but it would have helped the expectation thing we talked about in the last episode. We would have went in kind of knowing, hey, I'm going to have to do some work here, because without the right leadership team, or the leadership team being kind of all over the place, we're going to need to spend more time really making this business work than if they had truly focused and had a really refined system that wasn't so disorganized. I guess that's the best way I can state what kind of happened to us. So question number 2. Okay, we're going to go on. Is your franchise staff competent? That's a pretty tough question, right?
So in our franchise, yes, they were competent. I think what would be helpful for a prospective franchisee to be looking at, and or as they're talking to these franchisees and looking at the leadership, is understanding how many people are in each department. if you're looking at the leadership and there's a lot of people in franchise development or sales because they're trying to bring a lot of people in, but you don't see a lot of people in support and operations, that should be a red flag, right? And so maybe this will be your next question, but a question that you would want to ask a prospective franchisee is, related to support and operations. Like, do you ever have conversations with the leadership team, and who on the team can you just pick up the phone and talk to somebody? Because in our franchise, we didn't even really have a dedicated operations person. We had a dedicated salesperson, right? Who's come on, take a bigger territory, don't buy 3 unit, buy a 10 unit, right? They were, salespeople, right? And then once you cut the check, that's it, right? So make sure you know what comes after, and that really ties into the leadership.
And that's not really the next question I have, but those are very, very strong points. Our final question for today is, does the franchise corporate office act with your best interests in mind? Can you provide some examples?
Okay. I think this question is going to depend at what phase that prospective or the current franchisee is in. So in the beginning, I know that I would have had raving things to say in the beginning, right? That they had our best interests at heart. Because the reality is a franchise wants you to be successful. You're going to go through this honeymoon phase, right? You're going to go to training, and maybe the operations team will come out and help you do your grand opening. The reality is the franchise wants you to be successful, right? And they're going to put all their effort into ramping you up, especially that first year. And so you're going to have a lot of hand holding. You're going to feel comfortable. You'll probably have a lot of great things to say about the franchise. So it's more like after the fact, once the honeymoon period happens, then how are you going to feel about the franchise? And I think because we were seeing a lot of people leave in the leadership team, and because we saw them going down a completely new business model that they had no experience in, we felt like we weren't getting any love and attention and focus, and therefore we were kind of felt like we were doing it on our own. And so as you're talking to different franchise concepts, again, understand where that franchisee is tier-wise. Are they a top performer, mid-performer, bottom performer? How long have they been in the system? And reading between the lines in their answers as to why and how they're feeling the way they are about that leadership team.
Right, and I think this is really critical and goes back to a previous set of questions that we had in another episode of these, so go back and watch the previous ones. Also, you can download a copy of these questions, and the link below will provide it for you. What's really going to have an impact on the answers to these questions are going to be what tier they are in the franchise system. Are they a top performer? Are they a mid-level performer? Are they a low-level performer? Because I think you're going to find that you're going to get different answers depending on where they are. You can't really ask a new franchisee that much these questions because they don't have enough experience to really tell you, but you'll find out and you'll get a lot of different answers, I think. And I think it's really important. These questions today are really important, particularly if you ask them to all 3 levels of franchisees. So that was really what I wanted to add there. That's it for today's episode. We're coming back. We still got way more questions here, and we appreciate you joining us. Again, the questions are down below. We'll catch you in the next episode.